Hey guys, I'm back to till the field of the JJK content farm once again, feeding the hungry JJK fans one by one. So, as many people have uniquely realized, JJK's power systems really lends itself well to an action game, more so than most anime. I hope that the announcement of the glorious masterpiece, future classic Jujutsu Kaisen Curse Clash set people into motion. So everybody raced to Twitter to show off all their cool ideas, but in trying to keep in line with the canon, it ended up making the most unbalanced piece of shit I have ever seen. Not that my ideas are much better, but I mean, hey, at least I tried. Some of you guys are out here trying to make the next Sailor Moon S. Like, I get it. But as much fun as it would be for Gojo to have limitless and a fighting game and be invincible, I actually want a JJK fighting game to be like balanced and playable, so I could have a fun driving competitive scene instead of being some gimmick at a side event. But anyways. First things first, we gotta go over the general mechanics of the game, you know, like the specific type of fighting game is gonna be. Is it gonna be a normal 2D fighter or an anime fighter with air dashes and shit? Or is it gonna be a 3D fighter or a platform fighter or maybe even an arena fighter? For simplicity's sake, we will be bouncing between traditional and anime fighters. I'm not smart enough to make other things. Let's start with the fundamentals. So, the central mechanic of this game that I thought up / stole is the cursed energy meter. Every other mechanic will be based around this. A meter is standard fighting game stuff, but hear me out. I really want it to be as close to the canon as possible while still being balanced. So I made a couple of changes. A character's cursed energy meter will start off at max at the beginning. It will read as 100%. Every usage of cursed energy eats away at this bar. For the purposes of balance, every character will have similar depletion rates, otherwise characters like Yuta and Gojo will just never run out. In exchange for this drawback, characters will effectively start off with a full meter. This is the concession I made. You can domain expansion right off the bat, guys. It was the coolest thing to me from the manga, considering that it is the most effective thing to do in the actual story, so I had to put it in, you know. Now, as for the actual numbers behind these, they're gonna need a lot of fine tuning, more than just me thinking about them on the shitter. Right now, I have numbers like every light attack uses up 1% on the meter and heavy take up 3% on the meter. Obviously, there's gonna be passive regen, and also tentatively, grabs can boost your rate of regeneration, purely for gameplay reasons. Blocking will also take a meter, but it's relative to the move being blocked. Now, I still haven't decided how exactly to go about the defensive mechanics. Simple barriers will probably be the super block that's in a lot of fighting games, or maybe we can be unique and have them be a little radius you can stand in where you can't be attacked. That'd be kinda dumb, but also kinda cool, I guess. Domain amplification could be something like burst counter or drive impact just to how it nullifies curse techniques. I know it doesn't nullify all attacks, but you know, game design is hard. Same thing with simple domains. Again, the priority is gameplay, not faithfulness, so these mechanics are tuned for balance. I'm trying to have this game have its own identity instead of just reskinning Street Fighter mechanics, but hey, we all have our limitations. And also, I really like Street Fighter 6 systems, and I think the way it uses them is close to like the end game of action game balancing, which reflects well on JJK systems because, well, that's a topic for another day. Another idea is to give every character a new shadow style simple domain. Its sure hit effect will translate into it being the comboing setter move of the game, think Roman cancel, but I feel like this game is already unruly enough, so maybe I'll just leave it at that. Oh yeah, black flashes. They are a universal mechanic. They're fun and cool, and it's the only way we'll ever get to see Megumi land one, so why not? The actual move itself is up to a couple ideas, but its effect is pretty much decided. Landing a black flash will instantly put your curse energy meter at 120%. Any attack that uses a surplus 20% will have bonuses like more damage or more hit stun. One possibility is that it will also not deplete from blocking, but it doesn't passively regenerate either. I like the idea of a JJK fighting game being very dynamic, so I'm trying not to make certain mechanics too strong in order for other mechanics to constantly pop up. Say, someone uses a super strong move when you achieve Black Flash and takes away your bonus. That would be a fun interaction. As for the options of how Black Flash might work. Option 1. It's what happens when you land a punish counter. This will make the gameplay prioritize whiff, punishing, and footsies. Hopefully. The more common occurrence of black flashes might make them feel less special, but it will serve its purpose as well in helping your curse energy management. I know some people want black flash to be a random critical hit that has like a higher rate of happening for Yuji, but RNG is an evil force in fighting games, so I think no. I also just think it sounds corny as fuck because I'm a hater, and also half the fandom doesn't even know how Black Flashes work. The amount of people I've seen who think Black Flash is Yuji's curse technique is fucking ridiculousness, and not the good kind. Anyways, this is my favorite option, but I recognize it has issues. First of all, after landing a punish counter, most people will probably end up cashing out and doing a full combo, thus it will be a very strong mechanic. There won't be any of those water moments I mentioned earlier. For presentation's sake, most people would probably want a Black Flash to have a lot of impact and a more cinematic edge, so if it was a punish counter, it would be really easy to react to, sort of like Guilty Gear Strife, but, well, nevertheless. Option 2, it's just drive impact, or some variation of it. It's the big move of this game like Focus and does. It satisfies all the conditions well, feels strong, and will be a lot harder to land than a punish counter. The character will throw a punch, and if it whiffs or hits on block, it's just a normal punch, but if it hits, you get the full effect and presentation. Option 3, it would be a very difficult input, maybe like a star input or something. Maybe you'd have to land it as a punish counter as well. Won't work on block though. So the general rule of thumb for movesets will be that every character has 2 supers. Say, Jogo would have the Meteor be his level 1 super, his level 2 super will be his domain expansion. Every character with a domain expansion will have it as their level 2. The supers will all be usable from the start, but they will take massive amounts of curse energy, and also they have long cooldowns. These cooldowns will carry over rounds as well. To compensate for the instant nature, I've dabbled with the ideas of giving them like crazy inputs, like say Gojo's domain will need you to input his hand sign somehow. And also binding vows. This is a really core component of advanced Jujutsu sorcery, but it's too dynamic for my puny brain to put into a game. Maybe it'll be like something you select at the beginning, like V-triggers. They'll give the character unique traits like having a super bypass blocking in exchange for only being usable once. To make it even spicier, they would be hidden from your opponent. But that's for someone else with more time on their hands to figure out. Anyways, enough explanations. Let's get down to the movesets. Yuji, the punch kick merchant himself. Who's ready for the boxing ring domain expansion, guys? I'm left. I'm right, anybody else here use TikTok? Well, anyways, Yuji actually proved to be a somewhat difficult character to design because he's a bit too simple. I'd be hard pressed to find a balanced character among the Jujutsu cast that would fill the role of a Shoto like Ryu and Ken, but at the very least we can have a simple and easy character to ease in casuals, which is what I designed Yuji around. And before you get at me for appealing to casuals and selling my soul or whatever, I just want to say, you're absolutely right. I hate those motherfuckers too. However, remember that this is a game for JJK fans. The ideas and information these guys are capable of processing are limited, which is why they relate to Yuji so much, Yuji doesn't really have any curse techniques as of this video's writing. I mean, it's hinted that he can switch souls and he now has the ability to directly damage the soul, but I'll wait for that to be explained more. So instead, I came up with the idea of giving him more target combos and cancelable normals than other characters to reflect his martial arts capabilities. His only special attack will be Divergent Fist, a strong forward punch that will hit again after Yuji strikes. Maybe something like, depending on which button you press, you can vary the delay. Like, the command with a heavy input will be 2 seconds of delay, whereas the input with a light punch will be 1 second. This will give him strong pressure and at least some form of mix-up because he doesn't have anything else, just like in the manga. He could probably also have a standard DP that's just an uppercut, I don't know. Characters like Yuji are a bit harder to design because he doesn't have the obvious moveset some other characters have. If we had to make him a more thorough set of moves, we'd have to make up some shit for him to do. I know he has a couple of iconic moves in the anime and games, but I plan to bake those into his normals. For example, his forward heavy kick is his triple kick, his down heavy kick is his Maji kick, shit like that. At most, maybe I'll give him a command grab that will headbutt the opponent, kinda like he did against Mahito. A more complex moveset for him will probably resemble something like Makoto from Street Fighter 3 or maybe even Marisa. Hell, maybe to add on to his "if it's just pain, it won't stop me" gimmick, he should have super armor on some of his moves. Maybe you can have something like Marisa from Street Fighter 6 where if you charge attacks they get super armor. Most of his moves will also be plus on block since, he's a heavy hitter. Again, I encourage you guys to do my work for me and leave your own suggestions. In general, I want Yuji to be a more aggressive and heavy hitting character with range being an obvious drawback, whether that be making him some kind of rushdown character or a juggernaut. Yuji's first super will be "if it's just pain, ... This is basically an instant super where he gains super armor on all his attacks for like 5 or so seconds. The screen will flash and he'll say his little line and then he get right back into the action. His level 2 super will be the 5th Black Flash. It's as it says, Yuji will go into a trance and start chucking these bad boys left and right. Then it'll slow down as he lands the record-breaking 5th Black Flash. Meanwhile, in the background, the narrator will be like, the Black Flash doesn't choose who to bless, but Yuji makes it look like he's blessed. And Nanabe will be in the corner giving fucking commentary like, yeah, he broke my record. Only in a JJK fighting game can Nobara go head-to-head with literally anybody else in the cast. My current idea for Nobara is that she will be a zoner character who will use her nails as projectiles. Nobara's normals will all use her hammer since we haven't really seen her hands do shit. Nobara's main move will be, of course, the nails. When holding down the input, she will add more nails to the launch with a maximum of 3. Her second move will be hairpin. She will send a nail at either the opponent or the floor and it will activate when she inputs the button again. Her third special will be the ability to quickly make explosions on the floor. Think JP from SF6. She would have the option to have one hit up close or from farther away. Nobara's get off me tool will be the squishy hammer, which is plus on block and will send very far back. This would be her reversal if she were to have one. I still don't know if every character should have this and whatnot, but you know, whatever. Nobara's first super will be her summoning multiple nails around her, making a shield of potential explosions. She can walk around with them and they will explode on contact. This is the first made up move of the game since Nobara really don't got much in terms of strong specials, unless you want to strip her moveset and make hairpin the super. Nobara's second super will be resonance. She runs up to the enemy to take a sample out of them, basically being a command grab, and proceeds to attack the doll, dealing a lot of damage. A unique property will be that it does more damage the more physical contact Nobara makes with the enemy, in exchange for having lower base damage than normal. Even though she'll have strong zoning tools, it would incentivize her to go in and land hits. Megumi has 2 archetypes in my mind. One is to use the 10 shadows as a zoning tool, and another is to have him be a puppeteer type character. Or maybe he should be a more balanced character that has the shadows each do their own job, which is similar to his fighting style in the show. Either way, his normals will use hand-to-hand combat and heavies will use his sword. We can incorporate his shadow travel into a crawl. It'll be fun to have Megumi be the obligatory character who can crawl. We will also now be incorporating the shadows he hasn't used, so no bull or tiger. Unfortunately, Mr. Potential will not be fighting with his full potential, Also, he would just have way more move than anyone else in the cast if that were the case, so... But feel free to leave ideas for those in the comments though. Moving on, his first special will be the Divine Dogs. Either can be sent out at random. A dog charges forward to attack. Let's say, pressing light will send the dog as a projectile, while pressing medium will have it be a short range melee swipe. The dogs can be attacked to get rid of them, i.e. you trade with the short range version or you attack the dog as it gets thrown at you. This will cause Megumi's move to change to the wolf hybrid until the end of the round. The wolf totality is less cancelable into, costs more energy, and can be used as a projectile the same way. In exchange, it becomes a gigantic swipe forward that deals heavy damage. The idea of having the shadows be killable to be baked into totalities is something fun to toy with, but I want to keep it simple and only have the totalities available for the ones that we've seen Megumi use. So, no Agito today, or any other unseen totalities. Megumi's second special will be Nue. This will be Megumi's DP. He summons Nue to lift him into the air, hitting the opponent in the process. If you wanted to get crazy, you know, in a more wild fighting game, Nue would be like a glider and he'd be like Dr. Doom in Marvel vs. Capcom. But I don't like that game, so we're not doing that. His third special will be Orochi/Toad. Orochi and Toad are ranged command grab hits. They both pull the enemy towards the Megumi. Orochi is used to ensnare foes while Megumi is airborne and Toad is used to while on the ground. Orochi is much slower than Toad. If either is attacked, their mixed version is used, equalizing the frame data of each version. Max Elephant will send a rush of water that knocks opponents back and or summons an elephant to be dropped on the opponent. I haven't decided on which one. I'm leaning towards it being a water spout just because it's more unique. Last is Rabbit Escape. Megumi uses this move similar to JP's counter in Street Fighter 6, but without being able to capitalize on it. This will be his get off me tool obviously. Another idea was to have this be a super fast projectile cluster that does very little damage, or to have the counter itself do a very tiny amount of damage. Chimera Shadow Garden will be Megumi's first super. I know I said domain expansions will always be level 2s, but his isn't finished, so it doesn't deserve that. This attack summons a torrent of animals to attack the enemy. Because it's incomplete, it does not have sure hit and can be interrupted if Megumi is hit. Think JP level 2. Megumi's level 2 will be summoning Maharaga. Megumi says the classic line and then Maharaga is summoned. He attacks both players. Maharaga being a neutral force is something I'm not budging on. Some people would want Maharaga to be like a third fighter who steps into the round and just attacks whoever is close enough. That sounds pretty cray-cray, but if Guilty Gear introduced 3v3, then we can have 1v1. A standard route will be just to have a Maharaga special do a lot of damage, and in exchange Megumi takes some damage as well. Much to think about. I'm a pretty bland guy, so for now I'll just stick with the standard route. For funsies, we can have his block animation be him using Limitless, just to tease the opponent. Maybe canonically in the game he's holding back. You guys know about that, One Punch Man fighting game where Saitama shows up 140 seconds late to the fight in order to give the other team a chance? Yeah, it's basically something like that. Anyways, his normals will be pretty standard kicks and punches. Maybe you can have that big swing he did against Sukuna in the first episode be like a back heavy or punch or something. Gojo has a lot of moves, making this video remind me of just how much shit he pulls out of his ass with what is essentially 2 moves. First up is Blue. This move will summon a ball of damage in front of Gojo, and a small radius around it the enemy will be pulled towards the ball. Second is Teleport. Can Gojo actually teleport? Why doesn't he use it in his fights? Is he stupid? Well, regardless, my Gojo can. Gojo uses Blue to teleport to the other side of the screen. Simple. Third is Blue Maximum. It will cost like 20 curse energy. Gojo sends a ball of blue forward that deals heavy damage and has a strong pull to it. Let's say you're in the corner and Gojo sends this move. You jump forward to avoid and hit Gojo, thinking you got one over him. But as Blue races by, your guy gets pulled backwards and he hits nothing, back in the corner. That is real fighting game shit. Gojo's 4th special will be Blue Enhanced Punch, the thing he did to poor Agito. Gojo throws a punch that lets his blue pull him forward. Deals good damage and is a strong combo ender with good range. It will be his get in move. Last is Red, sends a powerful projectile with strong knockback. Yeah, there aren't a lot of other instances of him using Red that we can use to make moves, but you know what? Maybe in a platform fighter, the attributes of Red and Blue could be used to give him some crazy movement. Not today though. Gojo's 1st super will be Hollow Purple, powerful projectile that deals immense damage. His level 2 will be Infinite Void. Gojo opens his domain. If it lands, the enemy takes 20% damage and it is rendered incapacitated until hit. Damage dealt will have a 10% boost for 10 seconds. All hits have more hits done. If I was creative enough to have given more moves to every character, then I could have justified having True Form Sukuna be a normal character. But as of right now, he'll just be like a shitty boss character in the story mode or something. There are many a Sukuna in Jujutsu Kaisen. He's the type of guy to have like 20 odds in a gacha game. First, we'll look at Yuji Sukuna. When you really get down to it and think about it, he would probably be a zoner. He'd have Yuji's normals but not the target combos, and the properties for his heavies will be different. Landing a heavy and holding it will trigger a bunch of little Sukuna slashes. Sukuna's main projectile will obviously be Cleave and Dismantle. Let's say when he uses Dismantle, he sends a horizontal slash that's fast and aims high, meaning you can duck it. Cleave, on the other hand, will be slightly slower, but it's a vertical slash, so it can't just be ducked. Sukuna's last projectile will be the Fire Arrow, obviously. It'll have a way longer windup, but will be a guard crush with more damage. Sukuna's 3rd special would be Point Blank. This move is basically DJ's machine gun upper. He'll punch you and there'll be a lot of little slashes. If he were to have a DP, then it will just be him riding with a slash, cause who cares, lol. If we're feeling really goofy and wacky, maybe you can have some kind of launcher where you can summon a bunch of slashes to have the opponent be juggled upwards. But as of right now, my vision of Yuji Sukuna is a bit underwhelming. As for the not underwhelming part, supers. Sukuna's 1st super will be the Mega Fire move he used on Maharaga. It will do a lot of damage and it's a range attack that summons a temporary spiral of fire where it hits, even on block. His ultimate move will be, Maleficent Church. Its special property will be its full screen range. Like, I'm talking the whole screen. It can't be blocked because it will just hit behind you, or as an overhead if you're crouch blocking, or low if you're stand blocking. You get the deal. You need to simple domain against it. In order to make it reactable, it will have a somewhat longer startup than most other specials. Now, as for Megumi Sukuna, I'll make him the puppeteer character. He will control his buddy Maharaga. All his specials will be related to Maho and the 10 shadows he used, which means we'll see the Bull and Super Noe, who is actually just a totality of Nue and Arachi. Crazy, this whole time I thought it was just Sukuna mogging Megumi, kinda like how Yuta does that with Inumaki. And also, you can use the Deer and Tiger, cause why not? I haven't thought too deeply on this if you can't tell. His first super would be to summon Agito for a limited amount of time and go super fucking hog wild. His second super will be Road Cutting Slash, just to be different from Yuji Sukuna, you know? What will it do? I don't know. Yuta will have access to skills he's currently known to have mimicked. Because I don't like Inumaki, Yuta will be the main curse speech user of this game. Only his lights use his body, the rest use his sword. Rika will work like an assist for him, giving him a lot of combos. Alternatively, she will be a puppet, making him the puppeteer archetype. But for now, he's more like a heavy mix-up character. First up is Don't Move. It's a command grab that stuns foe in a small range in front of Yuta, and can only be blocked with a simple barrier. This move made me thunk though. Something that could also be cool is a block button, and to be just like how JJK works, with having to specifically reinforce the parts of your body you're blocking with, you can also use directional input to reinforce a specific part, like press up to reinforce your head to block overheads and also curse speech. Down will block lows and shit, and maybe holding another button just generally reinforces more at the expense of cursed energy. Anyways, his other move will be Reflect. He uses Aura's cape to reflect back projectiles. Last is Copy. Yuta will copy the first special listed for any character. It will remain that way until the end of the round. As mentioned previously, Rika will work like an assist. She has 3 moves, a slam overhead, a forward punch, and a defensive position where she goes in front of Yuta and blocks for him, but this will use up a lot of curse energy. Yuta can act during all of these moves. Yuta's level 1 super will be the Pure Love Beam. Yuta shoots an immensely powerful beam. Afterward, Rika's assist will deal more damage for 10 seconds. Yuta's second special will be his domain expansion, which was just revealed. True and genuine love. Shout out to everyone who watched my JJK vids and knew I was right. Yuta did in fact go on world tour mode, and that motherfucker used Sukuna's cleave against him. JJK is truly the best new gen. Anyways, yeah, this will just be a standard super. He can use it as a combo ender. It'll do a lot of damage with a cool cutscene showing off all the moves in the game, and I don't care if it's canon or not, the cutscene will end with Yuta using Hollow Purple. Mahito would have been the easiest character to make if not for his curse technique. There would be 2 routes for Mahito: become a heavy hitting grappler, with his touches counting as command grabs, or to make him a poison character. Keeping in mind the fact that he's supposed to be pretty durable and that his moves will probably have decent range, I think grappler is a better fit. So, Mahito's normal will be all kinds of stuff, you know, like his heavy punch will be the size hand, and his heavy kick will be him swinging his leg like a big ball, you know, all that jazz. His arrows will also have pretty strong lengths, stuff like that. We can go super copycat and give him like a lariat too, but instead, I think his get off me tool will be him turning into that big ball, you know, pushing away the enemy. Disagree with me? Look up Mahito Inflation to learn more about my reasoning. His command grab will be just him going to touch you, which will deal a lot of damage. He has short range to make up for it. Works in the air too. Mahito has another command grab that has a dash to it. He will run up and tap the enemy, and the enemy will suffer a small explosion and get launched backwards. This does significantly less damage than the last command grab, but it is easier to land. And you know what? Let's play favorites here. When Mahito lands 2 black flashes, he will become his ultimate form. In this form, he has a boost to damage and walk speed and gets extra range in his normal until the end of the match. Mahito's first super will be Soul Multiplicity. This sends a gigantic wave of souls at the opponent. Essentially, it's a beam. Mahito's level 2 super is his Domain Expansion. Again, it's a full screen grab, does a lot of damage, can be blocked with simple domain barrier or whatever, blah blah. I'm getting tired. I hope you guys can picture the ult clearly in your heads. Yeah, I picture the game will have the Arc Systems Work 2.5D look and super elaborate cutscenes, or it could just be regular 2D with hand-drawn stuff. That would be some tight shit. So, this is the longest video I've ever been making. Even with multiple revisions, I still got lazy. Who cares though? YouTube loves JJK and all those what if type videos. I say this expecting a bajillion views, even though I'm probably gonna get like 10. Still though, it was pretty fun. And if we were to ever get a JJK fighting game, it would definitely not be like this, and instead be more balls to the walls like other anime fighters. But a man can dream though. Dream about you hitting the subscribe button. Whoa!